Hello, friends, and welcome to Classic Country Backstories. I'm Colleen Gallagher. I hope you enjoyed part one of the life and career of Lefty Frizzell. I told you he had an interesting backstory, didn't I? Now here's episode 2 and the rest of my chat with David Frizzell. Nashville, Tennessee, country music capital of the world, home of the Grand Ole Opry, where singers and dreamers come seeking stardom. Join me as we learn about the lives and careers of those who built this town on Classic Country Backstories.
And then we got over into New Mexico. There was a place there called Hobbs, New Mexico, and there was a club there that was supposed to play called the El Maurice Club. That's the name of it. Still remember after all these years. We was there on February the 3rd. That's where we was at. I think that was on a Saturday. I think I'd have to look back, but I think February the 3rd, 1959 was when Buddy Holly was killed in that plane crash, along with the other two incredible people. And I remember that morning. I think it was Saturday. I think it was a Saturday. And every morning I'd get up, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and I'd get up, and it was in the motel room there. And I had a room real close to the Lefties, and I'd always go down and get him some coffee or get him a drink, something, and bring it back to his room. So this one particular morning, February the 3rd, I was leaving the hotel room, and I was going by his room to go get some coffee probably. And he said, "David, come here just a minute. I got to tell you, come." Oh, I knew something was wrong because that never happened before, never happened. And he called me in the room. He said, "You might want to just sit down over there." So I sat down. Yeah, well, I knew something was wrong then. And I sat down. And he said, "Buddy Holly was just killed." And he knew that Buddy was one of my biggest heroes. I knew every song Buddy had done. I was a Buddy Holly, one of his biggest fans. Still am, matter of fact. And then he told me, and every night when I was doing shows up to that time, I was always doing a Buddy Holly song and the 3 or 4 songs I would do. And anyway, it just buried me, I was completely, but he said, "David," he said, we got to, there's something happening. And it's he said, "I know you know all the Buddy Holly songs." He said, "I think our manager, his manager, he said, he knows all those people pretty good." He said, the manager called him earlier this morning and told him what happened. And he said, "I think I can get David on that show that's going to go on after Buddy Holly, if David wants to go," because I knew all the songs, And so he said, "You've been invited to be on that show if you want to go do it." And here I was with Lefty. It was just me and him. It wasn't like he had a driver and other, but I said, "Sonny, I can't leave you." I said, I can't. So he said, "Well, you know what?" He said, "You think about it, and we got to let Steve." It was his fellow named Steve was his manager out in California. Anyway, he said, "We got to let him know whether you want to or you don't in the morning." So you got a little time to think about it. He said, but remember one thing. He said, "For some odd reason, I got a really good feeling about what's going to happen when we get to Nashville. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just good for me or if it's good for you or what." He said, "But something good is going to happen. So think about it." And so the next morning, it was Sunday, and it was through. And he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Dustin, I can't leave you." He said, "Well, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to." No, I said, "I can't leave you." He said, "It's just me and you." So he said, "Well, there's going to be something big happening in Nashville. And if you want to know what it was that happened in Nashville, I'll tell you."
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right.
I want to know.
Okay. Well, we drove all the way to Nashville. First thing that happened when we drove into Nashville, this was in Texas where we left in California out of the LA area. and San Fernando Valley. And so we're all the way across the United States. And we drove all this way, and we finally got into Nashville. And coming into Nashville, it says, "Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee," And so there was a 7-Eleven store out there, so, as we're trying to go in. And we pulled off at that little store. Lefty got out, and we got some gas. But he went on and he made a call to Don Law, who was his producer, Columbia Records. And he told Don where we were. And he said, and Don Law told him, "Don't leave. I know exactly where you are. Don't leave. I'm going to meet you right there in just a few minutes." So he come back, and I was, trying to get the gas in the car and everything. So we sat there and waited till Don Law came out and met us there at the 7-Eleven. It's a little bitty convenience store. And Don drove up, and he drove all that way out there to where we were, because he wanted Lefty to have this little bitty cassette, not a cassette, but a real tape that had a song that he wanted Lefty to hear. And so Lefty had a little woolen sack tape recorder he always carried with him, all over, a little bitty tape recorder. And we took it into that little grocery market. He plugged it into the wall socket, and he played this song called "The Long Black Veil."
Oh, wow.
And it was, and it, the lady who wrote the song was the one singing it and playing piano on it. It was a piano and a young lady singing it. And he heard, and I heard, and Don Law obviously had listened at the same time, but we listened to it on that little tape recorder of "The Long Black Veil" for the very first time. And Lefty looked over at me and he said, after we heard, he said, "What do you think?" I said, "I never heard anything that sad before." And he said, "Well, it sure is sad, isn't it?" And so we got out of there, and we followed Don Law back into Nashville. And we had a place to stay while we was there. And you know what? A few days later, Lefty went in to record that song. And I don't remember him listening to that song over maybe one other time to hear that song. But we went in the studio, and Lefty recorded that and a couple other songs, but that particular one. And he recorded it. And then we went inside into the control room, and we listened back, to the song. And he played, and Lefty looked over at me again. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "There's no doubt about it. That's the saddest song I've ever heard. But I've never heard you sound better in my life." And he took that song, "The Long Black Veil," and made it become something that's alive. It was so real. And it was an incredible song for Lefty. Of course, a lot of other people have recorded it in the days since, but Lefty's version is the one.
It is. It absolutely is. Very haunting song.
Yeah.
I love to hear his version of "Long Black Veil," and nobody compares to that.
The way he would phrase, the way he would sing. I tell you what, I wish that I had been able to keep that little reel recorder. I wish I'd have been. I wish I had that now.
I was going to say, you don't know where that ended up.
I don't know whatever happened to that little reel-to-reel tape that he brought Lefty to hear, and we heard for the very first time. I wish I knew where that was at. I wished I had that, if nothing else but that.
That's fascinating, though.
Oh, absolutely amazing. But he sang like that if you just think about it, he sang like that on every song that he ever delivered. Mm-hmm. He'd make that song come to life.
I was going to ask you, his singing style was so distinct. I mean,
yeah.
Was it something that developed over time, or was it something did he always sing like that?
No, he kind of always kind of did it that way. And he'd listen to a song, and whatever that song meant to him is how it would come out. And usually it was right spot on,
Right.
And when he'd write one, oh my gosh, He was. I don't know anybody to compare him to as far as songwriting, but if you listen to the songs that he personally wrote, "Love You a Thousand Ways," "Always Late," "If You Got the Money, Got the Time," all those kind of songs. You listen to them, the songs just became real. They just so clean and so real. Amazing, amazing singer.
And he was so young when he wrote some of those songs.
Absolutely.
It's amazing that he had the maturity and the
Yeah.
wherewithal to write the lyrics that he wrote.
Yeah.
For that
I think
time.
when he was kind of starting out, this is before I kind of got with him, but in the earlier days, the great Jimmy Rogers, the Blue Yodeler,
Mm-hmm.
it was the one he listened to. But once in a while, he'd listen to Ernest Tubb.
Oh yeah.
Once in a while, he listened to an Ernest Tubb. Oh, I loved Ernest Tubb.
Yeah.
Uh, but there's Jimmy Rogers, the Blue Yodeler. Boy, Lefty had him down. He could yodel just like that. The Blue Yodeler. Boy, he could yodel and sound like the great Jimmy Rogers. And we used to talk about Jimmy Rogers all the time, going down the road, laughing and talking about Jimmy Rogers and how he would make a song come. And that's where he learned a lot of that, I think, from Jimmy.
Everybody has to have their idols, don't they? The people that they
Well,
look up to and build on. Yeah.
yeah, I have mine, and Lefty's right at the top of that list, and Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard was my buddy. We ended up being really good friends, and Lefty was his main thing. Lefty was his main baby. And every time I'd see him, I'd get with Merle. He said, I'd maybe, hey, and we'd talk maybe for 2 or 3 minutes. And I'd say, how's Lefty? Where's Lefty? And then I'd have to spend the rest of the day or night, whatever it is, talking about what Lefty was doing. And he wanted to be just like Lefty. I remember one time we was at Mom and Dad's, and this, I can't remember what year it was, but it was in Tipton, California. We lived just out of Bakersfield, between Bakersfield and Fresno, California. And a little place called Tulare, Visalia, in that area. And I was there when Lefty came by. He came over to Mom and Dad, say hi to them. And I went over to see him, and I went over there. And right in the middle of being able to talk with him, the phone rang and Mom answered it. And it was Merle Haggard. He said, can I speak to Lefty? And so Lefty took the phone and I ran into the other room and grabbed the extension phone. I want to hear this. and he's talking to Lefty. And Merle lived in Bakersfield at that time. And he had a beautiful home right outside of town, just right out of Bakersfield. And he's talking to Lefty and I'm listening. And him and Lefty talking. Finally, he told Lefty, he said, no, I just came back from Dallas, Texas. And I recorded some songs. I recorded 2 or 3 of your songs, as a matter of fact. And he said, I tried to make them sound kind of like you, And he said, is it all right, but all right if I play them for you? Lefty said, well, of course, play them. So Merle played one of the songs. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was I Love You a Thousand, I think was probably it, or Look What Thoughts Will Do, or one of those great songs of Lefty's. And after it played, Lefty didn't say anything. Merle didn't say anything. And I was gasping for breath. And somebody got to say something. Finally, Merle asked Lefty, well, what do you think? And Lefty said, well, Merle, he said, I don't know why you went to all that trouble of going to Dallas and recording all those songs. I could have just gave you mine. And the next morning, we all got in my motorhome, and I took everybody up to Merle's house. And we spent the day at Merle's house, man, laughing and carrying on, singing songs, all kinds of stuff. That's a whole nother story right there.
Wow. Well, and I know that Merle ended up with Lefty's guitar, did he not?
Yes, he did. And I remember going by there one time. And well, actually, Merle, when he moved up from Bakersfield, he moved up to Redding, just right out of Red Bluff in Northern California, on the other side of Sacramento. And he moved up there. He had 100 acres up there or something. He had a beautiful big home on it. By that time, though, he'd left the big home and had moved into like the foreman's cabin, the foreman's house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he built a big, beautiful recording studio up there, about $1 million studio or something. And me and my wife Joanne and one of my friends went up to see him. We did a Buddy Holly project, and with 21 song salute to the great Buddy Holly, 21 song salute. So I had sent Merle 8 songs of Buddy, and I said, I need you to do 2 songs out of this. And I had Jimmy Fortune's on. I invited Jimmy Fortune to be a part of it. T. Graham Brown, he was part. Different people, and Helen Cornelius, if you remember her. Oh, yeah. And I had them all come in and do a song or sing one with me or something, whatever, for the Buddy Holly project. And so I wanted Merle to do a couple of things, So I was back there with him, and he did That'll Be the Day. And there was another one. I can't remember what the name of it right off the top of my head right now. But he did 2 songs. That'll Be the Day being one of them. But anyway, we was back there. And we went on, we doing those great songs. And we talked about Lefty almost all the time. We was there. And but he was a big, huge Lefty Frizzell fan. That was his number one.
Well, and I don't know that Merle Haggard would have been what Merle Haggard was if it wasn't for Lefty Frizzell. Well, heard him tell that. He just, I know he loved Lefty so much. He had his own style, but at the same time, he took a flavor of Lefty and expanded on that.
What was so amazing about Merle, right quick, and is that he was really good at imitations. Mm-hmm. My goodness, I mean, I'd go to some of his shows and stuff, and he'd go through all kinds, even Buck Owens. He could imitate Buck Owens, Hank Snow, and just everybody. Of course, he'd do Lefty, he'd be spot on, but he did with all them too. I mean, yes. And he did that in some of his early shows. Later on, people wanted to hear him sing his songs. Somebody said that he didn't have to do all those impersonations, but he was incredible at impersonation. Marty Robbins, he could impersonate Marty Robbins. Oh my goodness gracious! It kind of even got to Merle. It even got to Marty Robbins. That does sound like me. He was an incredible man, but he had a talent, songwriter. There's not a better country songwriter in the world than Merle. Lefty, oh my goodness. He could do Johnny Cash just like Johnny,
Mm-hmm. He sure could. He was an amazing talent in so many ways.
Yeah, and he was just like, my brother Lefty left us in 1975. Mm-hmm. And he was 47 when he passed away. Mm-hmm. And the biggest 2 fans in the world for Lefty was me and Merle. And so we talked about it. We still have him in our hearts. Of course, him and Merle together now. So, right. They were waiting for me. I wrote a song called Lefty, Merle, and Me. I don't know if you ever heard it or not, but you need to hear it.
I need to look that up.
Look that up. Lefty, Merle, and Me. And it's I was in the studio and I was getting ready to record it, and Marty Haggard, Merle's oldest son, came in, and I had him sing it with me. He sang the Merle part, and I sing the Lefty part, and then we sing the chorus together. But it's great. It's quite a song called Lefty, Merle, and Me. You need to find it. Look on David Frizzell. Look at davidfrizzell.com. You probably find it somewhere.
I will definitely do that. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about David Frizzell while we're here.
Oh, okay.
You've had an extremely successful career in the music business yourself as a solo artist, with hits like I'm Gonna Hire a Wino, and then several hits like You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma with your duet partner, Shelley West. I even had the opportunity to be your Shelley fill-in a couple of times. twice at the Plummer Family Theater outside Farmington, Missouri.
Oh, I
And
love
then,
it. Thank you.
then,
Thank you for
well,
doing that.
it was
That's
an honor for me. It truly was an honor for me because if my brother and I did those songs back when they first came out. You know, we were
yeah.
raised on a lot of that music. So then I got the chance to sing with you in Festus, Missouri, along with your brother Alan and Jimmy
Oh,
Fortune.
two
Which,
two great ones right there.
oh,
Two
it
of the
was
great ones right there,
that was one of the biggest
Brother
days of my life, I think, with being there with you and
Al.
Alan and Jimmy Fortune. It was a
Oh, Jimmy
benefit for a
Fortune.
drummer that you had who his wife was ill.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it was a great day. It was such a
Yeah.
great day. But your brother Alan, he's a great singer as
Woo.
well.
And a
So
songwriter, you know,
so
he's got that same, knack, you know, got that talent.
so where did the music come from your mom? Where do you think
Well,
it all
yeah,
started?
I would say mom could sing and play piano. I remember one time I was home living in Porterville, California, outside of Bakersfield. And I had a house there and I had about 15, 20 acres out there. And we put a trailer house
Mhm.
on it. And mom and dad moved into it for a little while. And one morning about 10 o'clock, I'm in my music room, and I've got the tape recorders on, and I'm messing around, trying to get an idea for a song or just whatever. And there's a knock on my door of the particular room in the house, my music room in the big house. And I said, who is it? She said, can I come in? So well, come on in there. So she came in and she sat down. And what she was sitting there, and I said, Mama, what's some of those songs you learned when you was just a kid? And she started singing. She started singing just a cappella. Some of those songs, John Wesley Hardin was a mighty mean man. You know, that type, and that type of song, she'd sing it. She didn't realize that I had the tape recorders on, and I left them on. And she's singing, and pretty soon she sings something, and I'd sing a little harmony with her. And then afterwards, as long as she would sing a song, and I switched the tape recorder and I rolled it back and I started. She never had heard herself before. She didn't realize that she sounded like that. She's incredible. I've got those songs still with me and her
Oh,
singing those. And the next thing she did was let's go to the studio. So I took her in the studio and we recorded a few things together. But she was so talented; it was natural. She couldn't read or write. She never had a chance to go to school. There were so many of those kids. They grew up in Oklahoma, and most of them they were never able to go to school. But she was so talented and so delightful to be around uh, that you would just love to know her, get a chance to meet her.
she
But
sounds like such a fabulous woman.
I tell you what, when I wrote that book of Lefty, I put a song that me and Mom wrote in the beginning of that on the audio book.
Oh,
That
really?
yeah, it's an audio book. If you play it, the first CD on that, I think there's 8 CDs of that book, and the first one on there explains how I got into the book, why I wrote it, and me and her singing that song, or one of those songs, and me and her singing it, and that's the opening into the book.
Well,
Do you?
it was a fabulous book. I read it
Thank you.
twice.
Oh,
I
that's
went back
thank
through
you.
it and read it twice because there was so much information. There was so much good information, and I was just fascinated by it. It was a great book, David. I'm so glad
Well, I
that
didn't.
you
I
wrote
didn't.
it.
I didn't even get started messing with the book, thinking about the book, until I came into Nashville. But there was a time, whenever I remember, about 1973, I think it was 1973. I think it was. I was working with Buck Owens out of Bakersfield,
Mhm.
and I called my brother Lefty up. And I told him he's in Nashville, and I'm in Bakersfield. And I said, Sonny, I got to have a hit song. I can't keep going. I got to have a hit song. I mean, a great song is wonderful, but I need a hit song. And I said, I know you got one. I said, you've had so many. I said, but you never actually gave me one of those. But I know you can do it. I know you got them. He said, well, David, well, he said, somebody here in Nashville's writing one right now. I said, well, I'm going to come out there, and would you help me get a hit song? He said, well, just come on out. I'll pick you up at the airport. So I actually flew back to Nashville from Bakersfield. And when I first seen him, we went to the house, and he said, look, I got to run and take a shower. I said, listen to this new album. He had a brand new album that I'd never seen, brand new. And he said, listen to that album while I go get cleaned. I got to go take a shower. So I listened to that album, and it's absolutely incredible. He's got songs in there like That's the Way Love Goes, and Never Go Around Mirrors, and Can't Get Over You, Save My Life. There's some great songs on that last album that he did. And when he came out, he said, did you listen? I said, I am amazed you got so many, all great songs. He said, well, you find one you like? I said, yeah, I did. Matter of fact, I want That's the Way Love Goes. He said, well, David, I can't give you that one. He said, because Johnny Rodriguez just recorded it. I said, I don't care if he did. I got to have that song. I said, I got to have that song. So he said, well, go ahead and take the album. He said, take it with you. And when you leave, he said, take that with you. And we'll just see what happens. But Johnny Rodriguez is good. I don't know if it's going to be a single or not. He said, his version's only 2.5 minutes long. He said, that's not very long for a single. He said, so it may not even be, but take it with you and we'll just see. So by the time I got back to Bakersfield, I had called Buck Owens and told him, I said, I have got a hit song. I have got a hit song. And he was producing me, Buck was. And for Capitol Records, I think it was at that time. Anyway, so I got, by the time I got back to Nashville, Johnny Rodriguez song was number one. That's the Way Love Goes was number one, Johnny Rodriguez. And I couldn't record a song. It was a number one record. So I didn't get a chance to do it then. And no, later on, Merle Haggard recorded it. In 1981, 2 or 3, something like that, he recorded. And he won a Grammy on it. Another number one record. But that was the song that I never got a chance to record it. Although it might be on a live album or something of mine or something, because I do it all the time. But that just goes to show what a great songwriter that he is. And of course, if you listen to that, you'll hear him sing it. Great song.
It would have been a great David Frizzell hit, too.
I think it would have been perfect for David Frizzell. It was perfect for Merle Haggard and Johnny Rodriguez. It had to have been perfect for me.
I think so. So now, man. Lefty also had a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, didn't he?
Yeah, that was. I think that was. Let me see here just a second. February 1960 is when they put that there, and he went down and put his hands in the cement and all of that. Yeah, I remember that. And later on, years later, I was out there and I knelt down beside of his. Of his signature and handprints and stuff, and took a picture of me with it. And the next to him is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is a star up above his. Wow. But everybody's in that, from Clark Gable to just all the greats. Mm-hmm. But it was in 1960 is when he got that.
1960.
Yeah.
So he had such an impact on country music in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And he's been an influence on so many artists, even now. Was that something that he even realized during his lifetime, or did most of the adulation come later?
Well, a lot of people would listen to Lefty. I remember Merle saying, he said, David, when I'm in the studio and I'm recording something and I can't figure out how to do it, I just think, how would Lefty do this? So that's Merle Haggard. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people did and still do. They listen, they get a chance to hear Lefty. And it was just a way for a song to come to life. You know, it just every time he did one, it was the way to do it. He was somebody that a lot of people did imitate, and um, once in a while, I never really. My brother Alan imitates him pretty darn well, and I can hit him. I can hit a little bit of Lefty too.
Well, I do remember the show that I did with you and with Alan and Jimmy Fortune, and I think you had one of your nephews with you, and you guys were trying to out Lefty each other on something. It was I got such a kick out of that because it was so good.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I had Jimmy Fortune, one of the absolute greatest, as you know, and
Oh yeah.
it's one of my best friends in the world. I just love him, and not too long ago, was up in Montana. I was doing something up there. Well, they said Jay Dalton, all of us up there doing songs, and after the show, he said, "David, you know what?" He said, "Nobody sings like you and Lefty anymore. No, you're the only one that can still sings like Lefty." I thought that was a nice little thing he could say
That's
to
very
me.
true.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, now what are you up to these days?
Well, basically, I just got back from Arkansas doing a big show. We're still doing a few of those. We are very much interested. I, uh, I wrote that book, you know, and you got the book. I'd like to, if you don't mind, get the audio version of that
I
book.
need to do that.
Get that
Yes.
because I'm actually reading the book, and
Oh yeah.
and I'm actually playing the music that leads into the chapters. Different chapters has different songs going leading into them, and you hear Lefty. It's nice just to get a book and you start reading it, whatever. But it's even nicer to get a book,
Yes.
open it up, and you hear who that person is. You hear him singing,
Mhm.
being who he is.
Mhm.
So I think you get a stronger. I don't know if you need a stronger feeling about him, but get that audio book and you'll get that feeling sunk in there a lot deeper.
And you
And
can get it on davidfrizzell.com, correct?
yeah, I think that you can
Okay.
find it on davidfrizzell.com. And but uh, I was going to tell you. I was going to when I a while ago when I started talking with you. I was going to tell you what happened to us when we did get in 1959. February 1959, when we did get to Nashville. Well, that just said, I believe something good's going to happen. I don't know to each one of us, maybe, but it's going to happen. Well, what happened, if you don't know that right quick before we end this interview, is that
Let's get it.
we got to Nashville, and I mentioned about the Long Black Veil with Don Law. Lefty ended up recording that. But one thing happened while we were here, and that is that there was a fella that was Don Law's best friend, and he was a publisher and that kind of thing. And he came out to the house. He had a publishing company, and Lefty had called him, his friend Lefty, and Lefty had got a hold of him and asked him if they could get together because Lefty had a few songs that he'd just written and wanted him to publish them for him. So I can't remember that right now. That's not coming to my mind exactly. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but I'll fact it to you when I remember it. But anyway, he came out to the house we were at, and I was in the back room, and I heard somebody come in, but I didn't pay any attention. And finally, I heard Lefty, "Hey, David, come in here." So I went in there, and he introduced me to the fellow that was there. And he said, "Hey, Dave," he said, "I got to record tomorrow." He said, sing him those songs I got." So I just grabbed Lefty's guitar and sang the three songs that Lefty wanted him to publish. And I sang those songs. And then I just went on, played guitar, and said, "Nice to meet you," and went on in the other room. Well, the guy left and went back to town. And about an hour or two later, Lefty got a call from him. And he said, "Don wants you guys to come to town. He wants to get with you." He said, "Can you come to town after a while?" And he said, "And bring David." He said, "Y'all come into town." But so he said, "Go, Don Law wants to get with you for a few minutes." So yeah, sure. So we went downtown and we got and Don was in a hotel room. And we went to the hotel room. And I got a chance to meet Don Law again after I'd met him out just outside of town, coming into town, when he'd heard the Long Black Veil. So he sat down. Him and Lefty was talking a little bit. Finally came over, David. He said, David, we're going to sign you to Columbia Records. He said, this handshake right now is the contract that you'll get a little bit later on. He said, but welcome to Columbia Records. I got on Columbia Records because of the fella that was out there that I sang the songs for, fell in love. He came to town. He told Don, this David, you're going to have to sign him. You're going to have to sign this David Frizzell. He is incredible. Got me on Columbia Records. So Lefty got a long black veil, and I got on Columbia Records on that time we came to town.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Gosh. Yeah. And you're off and running after that.
I was off and running after that. And I came back into Nashville, when I was recording for Columbia. And with Don Law was producing the album. Not album, but the song, the sessions. And the Lefty would come down to the sessions, I think there was only two, and then I had to end up going into service. So they were getting ready to bring me into the Army. And I just didn't really want to go into the Army so much. So me and a couple of my friends of mine, we joined the Air Force. So I joined the Air Force, and I had to leave Lefty to be able to do that. So I had left Lefty and came back. When I got out of the service, 4 years later, I went back and worked with Lefty a little bit after that too. And but I ended up getting back on Columbia Records back in about 68 or 9, something like that. I got back on Columbia Records again. So David Frizzell's a whole different story than Lefty, but
well, we're gonna have to bring David Frizzell back on, and we're gonna have to do an episode on David Frizzell.
Well, we can do that.
It's pretty massive. So
well, we can do it. And thanks to Shelley West, she you mentioned about setting in for Shelley. She was amazing. Yes. Shelley was amazing too, and it was just so good to be able, because I never really got a chance to ever sing harmonies, because I was always singing leads,
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that harmony's fun, isn't it?
She just nailed it every time. And she worked so much with me. We worked so much together out on the road after that. And while I was trying to get the deal, her brother, Brother Allen was fronting Dottie West's band. And Shelley was one of the background singers. Yeah. And so finally him and Shelley got together and left and ended up coming out to California and started working with me. So I'll go over how David Frizzell got us a record deal next time I talk to you.
Well, we're definitely going to have to do that.
We'll be glad to do it.
I am such a fan of your music, and I think the world of you and your wife, Jo. She is such a sweet lady as well.
She is an amazing lady, no doubt. Looking after me is a full-time job.
Well, it has been fantastic talking to you today, David. Thank you so much for being so gracious with your time.
Oh, absolutely. Really my pleasure. Absolutely. And I know there's a whole lot of other questions, but I talk too much. So.
No, I'm glad. I think this is my show is usually I'll do a little bit of a biography. I think I'm going to turn this into a two-parter because I don't think I want to cut anything out here. So
thank you. You're so great.
I'm just honored, though, to have you with us, and thank you so much for your time. And hopefully we will see you down the road somewhere. Remember me if you need a Shelley again.
Oh, I'm going to be thinking about you now.
All right. Well,
thank you so much.
Everybody go to davidfrizzell.com. There's lots of good merchandise out there of yours.
Especially that book on Lefties on there. It is amazing.
Well,
the audio book of Lefties. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, hon. See you now.
Thank you very much. And you have a great evening.
Oh, you too.
We'll
Bye-bye
talk to you later.
Thank you so much for watching Classic Country Backstories. Please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for notices of further episodes. Until next time, God bless, take care, and I'll see you later.